What up, Grizz Nation, and welcome back to another Grizz 901 post-game show live here on Bluff City Media Network. Listen, I don't want to be here either. The Grizzlies looked like they wanted to be here at times, didn't look like they wanted to be here at times, just overall throughout the entire game. But in the end, it's an 0-4 stretch at home. It's not exciting. Yes, King Meeks, I might need counseling as well. Especially on a late night game. We all had to stay up to watch, and it was not as exciting as we were hoping it would be. At one point, we talked ourselves into it. We talked ourselves into the fact that we could make it a game and make it a chance for the Grizzlies to just show up and shine and really get right back on track. They look like it at times, but realistically, that OKC team is just much better. And we're going to talk about all of the separation that is between SGA and Ja now and moving forward, and what that looks like, as well as the OKC Thunder and the Memphis Grizzlies. So we're going to get into all that. This is going to be a super short show. I would expect it maybe half an hour at the max, but we're going to get into it. As long as you're here, we're always going to be here. And that was the whole decision behind doing the show. It is late, but we knew if you were going to be here, we had to tune it in and turn it up. But let's go ahead and get it going. All right, Nate. What's up? Welcome. How are you?
Just crunching some numbers, and they're not good. So
Nathan says just keep it short in his previous comment. Now he's like, half an hour feels too long. LOL for whatever that was. Listen, I agree. It is what it is. We'll get into all of much more. And as Drew's saying, you're an honorable man, DG, because I would have quit. I'm not going to say that we may or may not have sent some text messages back and forth prior to the show, but in the end, very true to what I say. We did this show because we knew that you would be here, and as long as you're here, we're going to be here. So it's simple as that. We wanted to make sure that we were hanging out with you. We all watched it together. Why not go ahead and have a show? So off the top rope, man, what you got?
Yeah. Can't blame coaching for that one. Maybe blame the front office, which I'm sure plenty of people will.
Yeah.
But that team's just better. Team's just better than you. You don't. Let's get into it. The whistle is crazy. I finally figured out. We were talking about it during the game because I watch these OKC games and they're on national TV a decent amount. So I'm watching them play these other teams, and I'm like, it always feels like their whistle is insane, but you look at it afterwards, and it's pretty even on like fouls and free throws and stuff. I think it's just because they let them absolutely slap the hell out of you every possession, and you're not allowed to play with the same physicality back. So it winds up even, but truth be told, they should get like double the amount of fouls that they get on a game.
Well, that's kind of similar to how Houston plays in college basketball. It's very much up in your area, right, in your bubble. They foul a lot, but they also foul almost every play. So it's like you got to pick and choose. Are you going to foul? Are you going to call a foul as a ref every time down the court, or are you going to like let them play physical? And at that point, they just let them play physical.
Yeah, but it's like some of it's like, yo, holy Mother Mary, like you can't just let some of those play. But it listen, that's 100% true. It's beside the point, man. Like the Grizz just don't.
We're not a physical team.
They don't have enough adults in the room, dude. Like,
no doubt.
Who is ready to step up outside of the guys that are your core three?
Yeah.
And the answer is you don't know. I mean, like Vince, he's as liable to hit the side of the backboard as he is to drain that corner three. I mean,
seriously, like, wild.
I think he's equal on corner threes made and side of the backboards hit this year. I think it's 2 each.
And then GG shot it from behind the backboard.
Crazy. But I mean, you just don't have guys who are ready to step up and make the shot. Meanwhile, they got their second Jalen Williams. I think it was 4 for 4 from 3 tonight or something crazy. Aaron Wiggins can't miss. Grizzlies don't have that. Like, you've got to get a better team, which has been the conversation since the summer. which is what makes it so frustrating. Right now, I know everybody's talking about like the trade deadline. I don't think you're making a move at the trade deadline. It'll set you up enough, but you didn't get closer at the deadline, right? Like, and at some point, and I think Kleiman has done a great job building this team, generally speaking, but you can't be so in love with your shiny toys that you can't get a deal done. And at the end of the day, you can try all you want, but the job is to do, not to try. As Yoda would say, do or do not. There is no try.
Yeah.
Shout out to Luke Hatmaker and to anybody in the chat that's not Daniel, because Daniel has no idea what I'm talking about. But this is part of it, though. I was actually going to lead into this. First off, dude, just high screen with Ja. Just stop running the offense with Ja on the floor. Like, quit setting screens with Luke Kennard and Vince Williams. Like, who the hell cares? Like, get a high screen, let Ja get downhill, and then go from there. But here's the other problem is they collapse on him because they don't care if Vince Williams taking the shot.
Yeah.
They don't care if Jalen Wells is taking a shot. Do you know what Luke Kennard is since the month of March? Since we got to, month of March, I believe it was month of February began. Month of February.
I don't know. He didn't shoot a lot tonight.
He's overall. 14 for 45 from three.
Sheesh.
14 for 45.
Yeah. That's good, right?
I mean, it's the same thing. I told him he's like going to Avatar State Luke, and then all of a sudden it was like February hit. I guess he got cold or something. Yeah. And that was that.
Well, Ja's 3 for 27 in the last 3 games, if that matters.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, like, it's one of those things where, like, same thing. You want him taking shots. You want him trying to control the game. You don't want it all to be threes, but you do want him to be able to figure it out from 3 at the same time. And they're just collapsing on him in the paint. At some point, what's happening is John's sitting there and he's saying, what else are we going to do? Because seriously, what else is going to happen?
Yeah.
It's just going to end up like you pass. Nobody's respecting you from deep. Like, I just don't know, man. Wow. And you get like flashes from everybody, but like you can't rely on anyone. It's like I see Thomas here in the chat. I like what I saw from Vince tonight. I liked some of what I saw from Vince tonight. Then he almost concussed 3 different children. If his passes hadn't been deflected or picked off, he would have murdered a couple of kids. Like they aren't ready, which is not an indictment on them. It's one of those things where like the team isn't good enough. The players aren't good enough, which has been the conversation. This is not a surprise, but Hurts not having Jaren, maybe he makes an unbelievable difference in that game, but I don't think he changes the ultimate outcome in that game.
No doubt. Well, I think he definitely helps. The problem was, if you look at those runs, it was when Ja was out the court tonight, a lot of it. And I'm not saying that's an indictment on Ja just in general, but the fact that like it just seemed like the offense was completely different. And you know what? I won't even say the offense. It just seemed like the flow of the game was completely different when he was on the court compared to when maybe it was Pippen and Bane together. And if we saw in the very first quarter, if you look at what the coach Jenkins was trying to do, he took Ja out early and they went on a little bit of a run. So he put Ja back in, slowed a little bit of the run down, and then eventually took Bane out and went with he was going to go with Ja out early and then come back in with Ja to end the quarter. So he was going to do the out and in for him. But that didn't work early on. And so he switched it, which is, listen, shout out to him. I know people are all over him most of the time for adjusting and seeing that and maybe make an adjustment on the fly. That makes sense. And it definitely helped because it looked like they were about to go on a little bit of a run early in that game. But when you get down to it, I know that we're going to talk a little bit about Ja and SGA. I don't want to go in too depth. This isn't a very deep dive tonight. But what I see in these two guys and how they're developing, one is the leader of its team. The offense is predicated around the leader of its team. He does everything for this team. I know he gets a good whistle aside. I don't see the leap and the jump and the demand and the leadership from Ja as I see in SGA. And Timo's saying right here they aren't comparable. Maybe, whatever. But in the end of the day, they're both point guards. They're both potentially top 5, supposed to be top 5 point guards in the entire league, and they're just not. Ja's taking a step back, and I don't know if it's the offense. I don't know if it's his game, but nothing looks good just in general with him.
It's a product of everything. I mean, Ja's trying to change the way he approaches a lot of things. I think that seems pretty evident, right? The way he approaches the games, they're trying to stay healthy for the playoffs. One, trying not to take all the bumps and bruises that he has in the past, which is still resulted in bumps and bruises, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Two, trying to figure out how to get the rest of the team ready to go. But three, like the team has really changed the way that they're doing it, right? The offense changed a lot. It's not Ja-centric, which, I mean, at times feels right when it's clicking, but then when you got guys who, I mean, your starters, I think were 4 for 24 from 3 tonight. Like it just doesn't maximize him.
Yeah.
Which is not what you can do. You're not going to win that way. You're going to win some regular season games. You'll win some when he's out. Like you have a better chance when he's out. But also if he's out, you're effed. Like you're screwed, right? I mean, the goal should not be to put these role players in the best position to win. It should be put the right role players around your core so that they emphasize what they're best at. That gives you the best chance to win. And it's not what's happened. I think it's what they're trying to do, but you got to give us some shiny toys eventually, man. Like you got to consolidate, and it can't be salary dumping Jake. And
but okay. So let me hit you with a little bit of devil's advocate, and this is there's some truth to it. Your big three in a sense, they're all going to be making over $30 million a year, all of them. Like, how many shiny toys do they really need on a team that we look at? Let's look at I don't know. Give me a team and let's look at their big three if they're a good team, and like say, hey, like, what's different? Is our big three that far behind the others, or is their bench and their ancillary pieces just that good? Because if you look at some other teams, like their big three they're close. Like I don't. That's my only argument to that is, in the end of the day, your big three have to be your big three and be the reason you win. And then the other pieces around it just kind of help them be the best version of themselves as well.
No, the other pieces have to be able to hit shots when the big three are getting taken away. That's what you have to have. And the Grizzlies don't have that. So like you don't need the shiny, like when I say you need to be comfortable giving up your shiny toys, I'm talking about like, hey, you hit on these draft picks. You got to be willing to give them up to get the right guys there. Like the guy who, like somebody who is a vet, who has been there, who when you swing, they'll hit that shot. I always bring it back to when the Grizzlies played the Warriors. The Otto Porter, the Kevon Looney's. That's who crushed you in that series.
No doubt.
Freaking Otto Porter Jr. could not miss from deep, right? But like
that's what happens in a playoff games. You're going to have somebody step up randomly,
right? But I don't think
the Grizzlies won in the series.
I don't think the Grizzlies have that.
No, I'd say they do. You could see a big game out of a GG, a Santi. Like they get hot one game, dude. Like that's
maybe
like GG got hot that one game, right? And that's what we saw and we love out of GG. He just doesn't look the same right now. Santi needs to have a really good matchup for him to excel. And those are your two bench pieces. You're going to get what you get out of Wells in a sense. And so you're kind of just stuck, right? I get what you're saying, but what I'm saying is if you have a guy like Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol, and Mike Conley, you're not going to be able to take away every single one of the three is what I'm saying, right? Yeah. So what's different, and why are we moving the goalposts for our big three when you have Ja, Dez, and Jaren, and you say, well, if they take away them, then we have this. No. If you have a game plan that's set up, you don't allow all of your big three to get taken away. It's that plain and simple.
And I think that goes back to something you and me really agree on, which is
The offense sucks.
Yeah, I don't think the offense is built to emphasize your big three. The offense is built to make, hey, we're going to get Jalen Wells in a really good position to feel comfortable, which is like, he's done awesome this year. But, like, just let him be open in the corner. Like, make it emphasize those guys and be like, they have to so sell out that Jalen Wells just has the most open three of his life in the corner every single shot. But it doesn't feel like it feels like they've changed it completely where Desmond Bane's only getting 2 threes. You're not seeing him come off the screens and get some of the threes he's gotten in the past. Ja's not getting the high screens from Edey. So I think it comes back to that. But
it's a regular season offense.
Yeah,
it really is. It's a
I think the Jazz game coming up soon too. I got to figure out how to watch that because I'm not allowed to watch it on League Pass in Utah. Which, by the way, I don't know if anybody knows this. The Jazz are never on national television, so I don't get to watch the Jazz here, and that includes when they play the Grizzlies. I'm
shocked.
But I think I'm assuming it's Chris on the no bluffing one. I think he brings up a fair question too. Like, is your quote unquote big three good enough? Which we brought this up a little bit last time that we talked, right? Like,
I think they're good enough.
Maybe
they're not currently being used in a way that benefits them the most. And listen, I don't know who you want to blame that on. You blame it on the coaching staff. You blame it on the head coach. You blame it on the European guru. You blame it on the front office. I don't care who you blame stuff on. My thing is when you have a regular season game and just in general, and this has happened a lot, especially in the last 3, 4, 5 games, when you have Ja Morant going 2 of 9 from 3, and then you have Desmond Bane, who is realistically your best outside scorer, going 1 of 3. The 3 is the issue. The 3 attempts, you're a third of what your point guard is shooting, and he is a god-awful three-point shooter, and he's shown that. Going, was it 3 for 27 in the last 3 games that he's played? Like, that's my issue is if you're not benefiting and setting up your team to excel, then that's the issue. And that's plain and simple. That's their ceiling. And if that's how they're going to play, that's going to be their ceiling.
Well, and Ja does need to figure it out. Like, you've got to be at least respectable from deep, right? I mean, that's otherwise they can just play boxes and elbows on you, right? You've got to be able to knock them down. I think it's a head thing at this point because he just tied the Grizzlies record for consecutive free throws made.
40.
Yeah.
Cool.
He should have surpassed it. He got fouled a yeet ton tonight. This game's not worth cursing over, so I'm not going to. But he got fouled a ton tonight. He should have surpassed it. But he's making those, which means it can translate to deep. And we've seen him shoot much better from deep. He's not right now. But it's got to be so much frustration, right? Yeah. Which is the big reason I think we're pretty well on the fact of like, hey, like, unless there's such a crazy turnaround come playoff time, that's probably Taylor Jenkins isn't super long for the organization. Because, like, your best player is super frustrated. The main thing you have going for you is that your players like you. And it's just not meshing. Like, it's not working right now. So,
well, my thing is we don't know what's happening behind the scenes. And we don't know if the players are frustrated due to offense. We don't know if they're frustrated due to coaching rotations. We don't know if they're frustrated in general. So I don't ever want to go down that road. My thing has been like, if you don't show improvement and you get knocked out of the first round, I think that's a guaranteed firing for TJ, because that gives you an out as a front office to save face and say, hey, that's our scapegoat. We're going to move on. Now, if you win the first round, you go to the second round, depending on how that goes, there's going to be true conversations in keeping him. Like, there has to be, like, because you had a fairly okay regular season with all the injuries that have kind of happened and kind of piled up, and you haven't had your big three for a ton of this season. I think you're going to come back to the injuries again. And I always go back to the stupid players because they're not on the court ever. and that's the frustrating part is they're never on the court at the same time over the last 3 seasons, and that's in all. I care about that more than I care about anything else.
Yeah, I just want to say, Astronomer, I'm not going to bring a single comment up, but I do respect the continuous crash out that's been season long. I'm cracking up watching it. Brief vent session. How is climbing seats got to be a little bit warm too.
It better be.
I mean, at least a little bit. Dog, how is John Collins still in Utah? I'm sorry, but it couldn't have been that hard to go get him. Imagine if you were bringing John Collins and Colin Sexton off the bench instead. I know I'm very rose-colored glasses with those guys, but I mean, John Collins is shooting 43% for 3 this year. And he's a great rebounder, and he can defend 3 of the 4.
And the contract isn't that bad now.
His
that
contract
everybody's
isn't
getting
bad.
more. Yeah,
I'm watching him. I'm watching his numbers every time, and it's the only thing that's consistent for Utah. Man, wonder what the Grizzlies could use come playoff time. And I don't know how he is still in that. He's still in this city. I don't know how he's still in this city.
I can't do this. Sorry to interrupt you, but I can't do this.
Ja
just told the media he shouldn't have played tonight.
Shoulder hurt.
I don't know, man. I don't get this. This comment, Drew, thank you for finding that and sending it up here, because we're not able to see a lot of social media while we're doing the show, obviously, and so we rely on a lot of this. But this is the team, because this is your leader, and just like Marco's saying right here, the vibes are completely off. It just doesn't make sense. So DeMichael Cole just put out the tweet Drew sent to me. John Morant said that he should have been out tonight, shouldn't have played. I asked him if the shoulder issue is something he'll have to deal with for the rest of the season. I don't know.
Shooting someone work through this.
That can't be your leader of your team. And that happened. In all honesty,
yeah.
Where is this? All right. So this is okay. So I agree with this, Nathan, and I appreciate you sending that up here. What's the S around his name?
No idea.
Does that mean you're a subscriber? Maybe.
We've talked about this before.
I don't know. I just realized this. Anyway, just sit Ja out for 2 weeks at this point. We already don't have Jaren anyways. Now, in my opinion, I think you might see a little bit of an uptick in energy, because we saw that from Scottie Pippen. I'm not saying they're going to be as good. It won't be as clean, but I think you might see an uptick of energy and maybe the pace of the game getting a little going. So,
I don't know. But I mean, it's the vibe. Yeah, the vibes are 100% off. And the comment is not maybe he shouldn't have played. Maybe he should have been out. It's not that he's necessarily.
Why say that?
Exactly. You don't want it. And it's not what we've seen from him in the past, right? It's not what we've seen from him in the past of hey, nah, man, I'm good. Be all right. Shoulders hurting a little bit, but we power through. Right? It's just it's weird. It's just a weird energy, and I get he's an emotional dude. It's what gets him super fired up, things like that. But I don't know, man. I don't know.
Joseph's coming for Drew.
What did Drew say?
He just shared the information, I believe.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I didn't see what Drew said. Yeah, I don't know, man. Vibes are weird. I think that's part of the reason that I think probably that's something, again, playoffs are what define all. It can change everything. Unless there's a massive shift, I think TJ's gone. Because you got it. It's if John Morant is sitting there and he's way off mentally, emotionally, then it doesn't matter how much he likes Taylor Jenkins. You can't have that.
Yeah.
You got to have a reset.
I agree. Well, the Grizzlies lose 120-103 tonight. It was decent at times. It
Mm.
was
Hey, there
the
were good
worst
things.
of times at times, but it wasn't terrible. But it was, my God, it was boring. Like that. It was a snooze fest game for majority of the game.
I got 3 things we don't normally like that I like tonight. One was Scottie Pippen Jr. I thought all night Scottie looked like best form of Scottie when
Yeah.
he was in the game. Love that. I think he should stay in the rotation. I don't know why he always has to play with Ja. I don't know why we do that with our backup point guard. Like we make sure we play him with our starting point
Well, I
guard.
think they're just trying to overlap him to get the flow with both of
Maybe,
them, and then pass it off to him by himself.
maybe, but I'd rather they just didn't. But that's okay. Regardless, I think he should be in the rotation. I think he does a lot of good things, and he's earned some time and he's hit shots in big moments. So he's one of those few people that's like he's gonna do something crazy every once in a while, but you trust him as much as you trust the next guy. Edie continues to have better and better minutes, man. Edie's figuring it out. And we said all along he's been a really fast study. He's not been playing basketball for very long, right? He's been a really fast study, but I have been surprised at how much he seems to improve like every week at this point and figure things out, which is super encouraging, right? Because it's one of those where like we think we can figure it out, but how long is it going to take him? I still don't want a rookie center going into the playoffs when my star point guard is Ja Morant. But give props for props, dude. He continues to figure it out, which is really impressive. And then Gigi. Gigi didn't do anything crazy awesome tonight. He still had a couple of defensive lapses, but the one-on-one defense with Gigi, the attention to detail, the ability to move his feet, and guard some really good players. He was one-on-one with Jalen Williams a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
Looks really good. Like I was really impressed with some of the defensive stuff from Gigi tonight. Again, wasn't anything crazy, super flashy tonight. But as far as what you want to see Gigi in this lineup, which we all know Gigi being someone you can be in this lineup consistently raises a team ceiling.
Yeah.
Really good. So
yeah,
3 things that aren't always a positive, I thought were super positive tonight.
No doubt. A guy that's been a positive lately and consistently is positive and makes me eat crow for me talking so bad about him early in the year, but a double-double out of a guy, Brandon Clark, 13 and 11 with 2 assists, which is nice. So he has brought a lot of the energy within this team. Him and Scottie Pippen Jr. have brought some energy to kind of get up and down the court a little bit more and get everything going. And so as Ray Timbo saying here, BC, always phenomenal.
Dude.
So
amazing, dude. Hey, you got a sauna built by Crew Pros. No big deal.
All right, so real quick, the Grizzlies did lose. We're going to put a bow on this to OKC, 120-103. Before we completely close the show, I know we're at our 30-minute mark and we don't want to go too long, but I want to ask you kind of off the cuff real quick because we're about to get the Tony Allen video, whatever, the special at 7:00 tomorrow night Central, I believe is when it actually starts. Any of your fondest, or if you have one good memory or something that sticks out or something you're hoping to see in this actual video, or just TA, what he might meant to you as in general, because I know we show love to a lot of the OGs, but it's his time now. We'll talk about him again, I would assume, on Friday's show, but you're not going to be on Friday's show. So anything for you that you got that you might share of a memory or a thought of our guy, TA?
I mean, there's no one thing that sticks out other than the big things, right? Like the first team all defense, the post-game interview, it's all hard, grit, grind. Like all of that, like the big TA moments are the big TA moments that everybody loves. But yeah, I'm way more excited to see all the stuff that I would not know about, like the behind the scenes, like what are his teammates saying about him? What are his family saying about him? What is like just random people in the city that he's touched saying about him, right? Not just this city, right? Back in Chicago, people from Boston. Like I'm excited to see all of that. because TA was one of those dudes. I keep thinking about the guy that made that 9-minute video of like the guy who couldn't score. Thing. I mean, TA is not one of those guys who you would expect his jersey to be in the Raptors, but it was like the heart in it and like the love and the realness of it that made people love TA. It's what made people love the core four, but I feel like TA is more than anybody that, right? Because it was truly all heart, grit, grind with him. Like that wasn't just a post-game phrase. That was how he played and what he meant to the team in the city. And that translates way beyond the game of basketball. Which is what matters to the people of Memphis. Is why the people of Memphis embrace the core four and Tony especially. Right. So I'm excited to see how that translated outside of stuff we've already seen in them.
Yeah,
that's what I'm pumped to see.
I think you're spot on with that. I think that I'm probably excited the most to see how well he's talked about from other players, whether active or former players. Because I know, the fact they got Westbrook was a little interesting. KD was supposedly on there, but also you have the other three of the core four on there talking about him. And then I would assume there's other people that I'm just kind of leaving out, but being talked about in a high positive way with your peers is always good. Like not something that we would ever have within this brand, but like something that you would have within like your fellow peers is always a good thing. A little background on TA. I did not like him for the Grizzlies. Like when he got here, I was just like, dude, I know he plays good, but like it's almost like Scottie Pippen to me. Like plays good defense. He's always fast, always flying around, but dude just makes the boneheaded stuff. Like just like can't even hit a layup. And it goes back to that stupid video that guy made. But eventually you start seeing that, hey, as you get older, because I was, not younger, but I was in my teens then, growing up, whatever. And you start seeing a little bit of how it affects the game as you're growing up in your IQ level of basketball. And you realize like what he's actually doing compared to the missed layup. Right. And so I think that grew on me and helped me understand and have an affection for his type of game. So, should be pretty cool, man. I'm excited to see him get his jersey lifted. His kids are at my wife's school. My kids go to school with his kids. They talk about their kids all the time, and so it's nice to know like the family on the family side of things, but also know the player, what he was, and see how that's all coming together now. But also then you get to go back in time. So it's a lot of good stuff that's kind of coming together and all of that. So it's always fun to see everything kind of doing a full circle in a sense.
Yep. 1,000%.
Yep. But if you're going to be at the game, looks like Saturday, Drew will be there with buckets. So if anyone wants to grab a beer, let them know. The $2 Sports Show tomorrow is Thursday at noon. I know a lot of people are going to be watching Vernon. Dude, I'm telling you, tune into the $2 Sports Show at noon Central. Watch their show, go back and forth, whatever you want to do. You can watch one and then go back and watch the other one, but show love to them. I'm telling you, those guys have a good time. But they'll interact with you more than you can get on the Chris Vernon show sometimes. So I always go there first because I like the interaction. I like to BS like we always do here. So to join, it'll be a good time.
Get right game Friday, by the way. I won't be here for the show, but if it's not a good one, I'll be really glad I'm not here.
If we lose that game, there probably won't be a show.
Should be only good news. So here's fingers crossed, hoping and praying.
No.
If that's not a get right game, then yeah, we're in trouble. By the way, Dallas Mavericks fans, thoughts, prayers. I think your team's probably going to Vegas. I'm just like, I'm like, and I think at this point, they're probably not even mad about it. They're probably so out on this team at this point.
Done.
I truly feel for them as a fan base. That's like, God, what an apocalypse. And have to watch Quentin Grimes go drop 40 2 weeks after you traded him. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Brother.
Not ideal. But listen, that's all we got. It's been fun. We want to do a shorter show, get out of here before midnight, which is our goal. It is our goal. We're going to hit our goal. Thank God. But we wanted to make sure we gave some content for one, everybody that stayed up to watch this game, but also people that go to bed. They're going to wake up and realize, hey, I need to hear some content. And this is the reason that the show started in the very beginning, is to give you the content by the time the buzzer sounds until you wake up in the morning. If you need some content to listen to, this is your filler content. So there's a lot of people that tune this in the morning that make sure they listen to this before they go into work or whatever, because this is like the freshest and newest content overall. But looks like Matt's skate news just arrived and just firing them off. I love it. Matt, go back and listen, because we talked all about all of these. So I love that we come in, just start firing. All caps, locked and loaded. All right, that's all we got. We're going to get out of here before we get too late into the show. But we'll see you all. I believe Ryan might be joining me Friday again. But we're going to have me and Nate are going to be missing some shows throughout March. So but tune in. I believe I'm off on Monday, Wednesday, the next 2 weeks. So Nate will be running the show. It should be probably a lot better. So, all right, that's all we got. We'll see you all then. Be nice and tell your friends.